Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at 10 sleeper OP or underrated champions for patch 9.14. Just before we get started, in case you guys did not hear in my last video, I am giving away the new Arcade Kaisa skin with the green league partner chroma over on my Discord, my Twitch, along with my Twitter, so links will be down in the description below to all of those if you would like to enter. With that being said, guys, let's get started. Alright, so to start it off, making his return to the solo lane in 9.14 is Pike. So Pike did receive 2 different buffs in this patch, or maybe even 3, I guess you could say. He got 2 buffs to his ultimate, to where he's now just going to be generating a lot more gold when he does get a kill or an assist with his ultimate. His E also got a change to where he's now going to be able to stun the wave again, which is going to help him in certain situations, being able to freeze the wave. But the fact you can snowball a lot harder with Pike now in this patch does make him a pick that if you can get rolling with, if you can get a couple kills in the early game, then you can just completely take over the game with him in 9.14. So for both top lane and for mid lane Pike, a very good pickup here for 9.14 yet again. Another top lane or mid lane pick, Cassiopeia, is very underrated at the moment. Cassiopeia top lane is definitely a little bit more sleeper OP. I did have her in the god tier for both the mid lane and in the top lane for this patch, but top lane Cassiopeia I definitely think is a pick that you should be trying to abuse in this patch before she does get nerfed, or she probably won't get nerfed, but she is a very good pick right now into a lot of meta top lane picks, does extremely well into pretty much every melee top laner. The change she did get in this patch to her W is just so influential in a lot of different situations, being able to just kite out champions that jump on top of her, being able to prevent champions from jumping away from her. As you can see there on screen, she just has insane win rates against 2 of the most picked top laners right now, being Mordekaiser and Darius, upwards of 55%. So the stats don't lie either. Cassiopeia stat wise is performing extremely well in 9.14, and if you are looking for a good lane bully hard carry top lane pick for this patch, then Cassiopeia is a great addition to your champion pool. So next up for a jungle pick, Zack in the jungle is somebody that over the past few patches has slowly been getting stronger. He did end up getting some buffs in 9.12 to his W along with his ultimate, and those changes did really seem to help him out. Not a ton of people are picking him up right now in solo queue, but he is a pick that can do pretty well into a lot of meta junglers. He can do pretty good into AP junglers right now, because if you're up against an AP jungler like an Elise or an Evelyn who are being picked a lot, you can just go for Merc Treads, go for Spirit Visage, and as long as you don't die in the early game against those junglers, then you're going to be able to fare very well if the game does reach the mid to late game, just because especially if the enemy team also has an AP mid laner or an AP top laner as well, then being able to prioritize that magic resist against those champions is just going to make you very, very tanky. Alright, so taking a look at a support pick now, Bard got some really nice changes in 9.14. He got base health increased by, I'm pretty sure, about 50 in the early game, so that does help his early game out a lot. It means that he's going to just not get bursted out as quickly. 50 extra health there in the first couple of levels is going to make a difference a lot of the time. He also got a change to his E to where the move speed is up in the early game, so this does mean that setting up ganks with Bard is a lot easier now. If you just go behind walls and you set up your jungler, coordinate with your jungler to come in for a gank, then you're going to be able to pull off that play a lot more consistently in this patch and just get a lot more kills by setting up plays with your E in 9.14. So I think that Bard right now, very underrated pick. He obviously does take a little bit more skill to use. He takes a little bit more time to get used to, but if you can play a good Bard, then I do think he is worthwhile to pick up now in this patch. So taking a look at a mid lane pick now, Kled mid is something in this patch that I do think is pretty underrated. Right now in the top lane, Kled is a very good pick, but for Kled in the mid lane, he's a champion that can have a lot of kill pressure in a lot of different matchups. The fact that he does have the ability to just jump onto a squishy target, use his Q, pull them in, he's going to be able to win trades very easily in the early game in a lot of those squishy mage matchups, and his ability with the ignite there in the mid lane to just jump on somebody and burst them out is really good. You also do have great roaming potential with Kled from the mid lane. Your ultimate allows for you to just very easily look to roam top lane or look to roam bot lane. You just have a lot more versatility there as opposed to playing him in the top lane. So I do think that because of that, it does make Kled mid a much better pick as well. So overall, for both the top lane and for the mid lane, Kled is a pick that I would definitely recommend picking up for this patch. He's a champion that just benefited a lot from the buff he got in 9.14, and if you can play Kled well, then he's going to get you a lot of elo here for the coming patches. So taking a look at another top lane pick, Swain top is having a lot of success here with Grasp of the Undying in 9.14. This does seem to be the new best setup on Swain right now. You can also run the Kleptomancy, but the Grasp is the one that most pro players are leaning towards. Phase Rush is still an option, but with Swain's new passive giving him max HP, giving him 5 HP whenever he does get a Soul Fragment, along with the Grasp there giving him HP, it allows you to stack a lot of health there in the early levels, especially in a melee matchup. If you're able to constantly proc this Grasp, constantly get your Soul Fragments, then you are just going to be getting super tanky with Swain very early on, and if you can look to play Swain into melee matchups in the top lane, then he is going to be a very good pick for you in this patch. So for another mid lane pick, Aurelion Sol is someone that is always pretty underrated for solo queue. It feels like it doesn't really matter what the meta is. Aurelion Sol always has below like a 1 or 2% pick rate, and with the change he got in this patch to his queue, I feel like it will make people realize that this champion still does exist and it is a pretty good pick for solo queue. The change he got in this patch to his queue was to the maximum stun duration. So this means that when you are now looking to roam with Aurelion Sol, if you can get your Q charged up, then it's gonna stun for a lot longer, making it a lot easier for you to pick up kills when you are roaming and just making your roaming potential a lot better here for 9.14. So I think Aurelion Sol, if you can play him well, if you can put the time on the champion, he's definitely worthwhile. You do have to take note that Rod of Ages also did get buffed. I'm pretty sure it was last patch. So with the direct buff here in this patch, with the indirect buff in last patch, things are looking pretty nice right now for Aurelion Sol in 9.14. Alright, so down in the bot lane for another support pick, a great counter right now to the way the meta is shifting in the support role is Tarik support. So we do have Blitz being played a lot more now after the buffs he did receive. Nautilus is still a very highly picked support in 9.14, and Tarik is a very good pick into both these supports. He's also a pretty solid pick into Thresh, like into pretty much any hook support or engage support. Tarik is really good because if he does get hooked in by a Blitz, what he can do is he can just use his E, automatically get the stun off and just disengage really nicely. Also, if he does get hooked in by Blitz at level 6, he just pops his ultimate and it doesn't allow for those kind of supports to just burst him out right away and get a pick. So if you are looking for a good counter to any of these aggro supports being played, then Tarik is definitely a good choice for this patch. So Poppy Jungle is a pick in this patch that I do think is a great counter to a few different junglers. We do have Lee Sin as the most picked jungler in 9.14, and Poppy, with the changes that she got in this patch, especially to her W, makes her a better pick into Lee Sin, makes her a better pick into champions like Rengar, Camille, any champion that does have any sort of a gap closer or a dash. Poppy is gonna do a lot better into here for 9.14. So this isn't a pick you see a ton, but it can definitely work very well. Poppy Jungle does have a pretty good clear. Her Q dealing the AoE damage there allows her to clear AoE camps out pretty quickly. Her gank potential in the early game, it's not the greatest, that's for sure, but if you can look to get into some skirmishes in the early game, if you can play around walls and you can get stuns off on the enemy jungler or on the enemy team up against the wall, then you can have a very good early skirmish with the champion. So definitely a champion that's worthwhile to pick up, especially as a counter to things like that Lee Sin. And then lastly, to round out the video, the most underrated AD carry at the moment is Twitch. So Twitch does have very good matchups down in the bot lane right now. Sivir and Jhin are two of the most picked AD carries, and he's got a 53% win rate against Sivir right now, upwards of 55% against Jhin. Jhin just did get buffed in this patch as well, and he is seeing a spike in play rate, so that does mean even better things for Twitch, because Twitch into Jhin, Twitch can just destroy that matchup. Once he does hit level 6, it's very hard for Jhin to do anything against him. What you can do with Twitch in the matchup is, if Jhin is looking to clear out the wave, you can just go in with your stealth. You can wait for him to use all of his bullets, and when he's reloading, you just pop out a stealth and you end up bursting him out, and there's really nothing Jhin can do in that situation. So you can look to cheese the matchup pretty well with Twitch. When it does reach the mid to late game, you're just gonna be able to burst Jhin out as well. The amount of burst damage you do have with Twitch compared to Jhin, he's not gonna be able to contest with that in the mid to late game. So really good matchups for Twitch right now, and if you do go for this full crit build, then you can spike very hard in the mid to late game. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. 10 of the most underrated champions for patch 9.14. If you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.